Hello everybody, welcome back to GP's Odds and Ends. Jessica here. So as you know, I've been doing still some nail things, some budgeting, savings challenges, planning, all sorts of odds and ends, if you will. So today, can you see? I did do this hand already off camera. It's just a little bit easier, and this is my dominant hand as well, so it takes a little bit longer sometimes to kind of do something with your non-dominant hand, although I think I did a fairly good job. I can't wait for them to grow out a bit longer, but I wanted to do a kind of quick, well, maybe not super quick, but easier type of Thanksgiving mani. These are going to be the nails that I'll have during Thanksgiving. So I will get into the colors in a moment, but I'm going to do the same exact thing on this hand. It'll just go a little bit quicker because I'll be doing it with my dominant hand. So the first color that I will be using my Cascade Colorworks. I did also, okay, so a couple things here because I'm trying to let these grow out. The last set that I had, I just did dip powder. They did start to chip off a little bit, and then my nail underneath kind of ends up breaking a little bit right along the edges. So to try to stop that from happening in the future, I did already do a layer of clear dip powder on all of my nails, on my natural nail, and then I did a layer of this Revel Nail peel base over the clear dip powder. So I'm hoping that if they do end up popping off or anything like that, it'll be a little bit of a cleaner removal process. I won't have to file it off or anything like that. Hopefully I'll be able to just kind of pop them off or peel them off at that point, but I'll also still have the clear powder on my natural nail to kind of protect that, because my nails do like to, even though they're flexible, but they like to kind of break where they end up bending. So I am going to go ahead and get started. I didn't do I did prep my nails, so I did my cuticles and everything like that, but I didn't go too crazy filing the free edge and everything like that. I'll do that more when I have the actual dip powder on. So to get into the colors that I will be using today, these are both going to be Revel Nail colors. So first we have Spiced, and that is this beautiful pumpkin-y orange color that I have. And then the other color, look at that. Oh my god, it's just gorgeous. This one is called Toasty, and that is this gorgeous shimmery, it's actually like a flaky dip, and it's just gorgeous. And I love the kind of golden orangey colors that you get in the background, and I think it goes really well with the spiced color. So I'm going to switch over to voiceover mode, and I'm going to get started on these nails. Alright, so I'm going to do my normal dip powder process, nothing any different than you've seen me do in the past, and I just have my little cupcake liner, so when I dip my finger into the jar, it catches any fallout, or overflow, so that I can kind of save the powder, right? So I'm just going to do a layer of the base coat. I am going to do this on I'm going to do 3 layers of this color on my pinky, my index, and my thumb, and I'm also going to do just 2 layers on my middle finger. So you'll see that when I get to that 3rd layer, I skip the middle finger and just do the pinky, index, and thumb. And you'll see here as well, once I brush this off, because I used that peel base, it really dries the base coat, or it makes the base coat dry really fast. So you'll see in a moment when I show my finger close up, there's a lot of patches where the dip powder did not adhere to the nail, and that's because of the peel base. So peel base can cause your base coat liquid to dry really fast. To kind of curb that from happening or stop that from happening, you'll see on the second and third layers it doesn't really make much of a difference, but you can see all that empty space there where the dip powder didn't adhere. In order to stop that from happening, you can apply a layer of your base coat across all of your nails. Let that dry and not dip it into the dip powder. Just let that dry, and that will help your next layers of base coat when you do go to dip into the powder to not dry so fast. So that is one way you can kind of curb that from happening. It ended up being fine. I was able to get a full layer on the next two, and it's not bumpy or anything like that, so it still worked out fine not doing that initially, but just for your reference, you can do that as well to kind of help that. And that kind of happens with any peel base. I've used the UNT or UNT peel base before, and I believe the Virgo and Gem, and it doesn't cause your base liquid to dry quite so fast. So that may be just with the Revel Nail peel base. But I know in the past, the Revel Nail peel base has kind of kept or not let the dip powder pop off quite as quickly, and I do want a little bit more longevity with these nails as well, so we'll kind of see how that works out. But in any case, I'm going to move on to the second and third layers for each of the nails, and I did speed this up a bit, and then we will move on to that foil flaky dip. Okay, so at this point, I am going to go in with clear on just the three nails that have the orange. So my pinky, my index, and my thumb. So I'm doing this part now so that I can also apply activator and let these harden so that when I start using the flaky foil dip, that is going to kind of fly all over the place. So that's why I do have my dust collector going as well. I want to kind of draw that into the dust collector so it gets captured, but in order to make sure that if any of those foils or flakies land on the nails that are already completed, the ones that are just going to be the orange color, I want to kind of protect those with the clear and the activator. So once they harden, you typically should not have any foil or flaky that lands on them. You can easily brush it off. So that'll just kind of make sure that you don't have some random glitter or flaky or anything like that where you don't really want it to be. So that's why I kind of did that at this point for those three nails. So now I go ahead and let that harden, but you can see I just have those two nails left. So I'm going to do the same thing that I have on my right hand. And look at that flaky and all of that color. So it's kind of a black base powder for the color, but then it has all of these golden yellowy and orangey flakies and foils in it, so it's super, super pretty. So I am using my cupcake liner. For the first two, I'm going to do my ring finger first. So on the first two layers, I'm going to pour over that flaky powder from the jar. And I'm doing that because I want a nice full layer of that dip base to start with. Same as I would do for chunky glitters, or even glitters that have super big pieces or even smaller chunky pieces. I always kind of want to have at least 2 layers of more of that dip powder for a nice flat, smooth surface for everything to kind of adhere to. It just gives a smoother application in the end, and then you don't have a super thick, bulky, chunky kind of nail compared to all of the other ones. So this is going to be my second layer, and on the third layer, because I want all of that color from the foils and the flakies, I'm going to dip it right into that cupcake liner. So we'll see how that goes. All right, so you can see here you have a lot of the black base powder color there and not a lot of those flaky and foil pieces. So I really want to kind of load up on all of that color that you see in the cupcake liner. So I'm doing a full layer of the base coat again. So this is my third layer. And then I'm going to kind of lay my nail flat right into where all of that color is, all of those foil pieces and everything. And you'll see that I do get more color or more of those foil and flaky pieces than I had from pouring over. However, I still wasn't happy with it. I wanted more color. So there is more here than there was before, but I wanted to really see a lot of that goldeny orange color. So you saw that I shook the cupcake liner. I'm going to shake it again, and that's going to kind of help bring all of those foil or lighter foil and flaky pieces to the top. So that when I lay my finger in again, because I normally wouldn't do 4 layers like this, but when I lay my finger in this time, you're going to see how much color picked up or how many of the foil and flaky pieces I picked up this time. And it's stunning. Look at that. Oh my God. It's stunning. I absolutely love it. And it almost kind of looks like a chrome effect even. It's just this dip powder is absolutely gorgeous. I can't stop looking at it. But I go ahead and brush all of that off. I'll be able to brush anything off of my skin later, so that won't be a problem, but that is just gorgeous. So now for my middle finger, I want to have that kind of ombre effect on the side of the nail next to the glitter nail. So I'm using my e.l.f. blending eye brush. So this one's a little bit of a fluffier brush, so it's really going to pick up all of those foil and flaky pieces. I didn't do quite a full layer of the base coat. I didn't go all the way over to the other edge, but almost. And then I'm just going to pick up all of those foil and flakies with the brush and just kind of sprinkle them down over the left side of my nail. And you can kind of rotate your finger a little bit depending on how much coverage you want or don't want, but I'm really just sprinkling it and letting it kind of fall where it wants to fall. I'm not touching the brush to the nail because then it's going to get stuck with the base coat, so you don't want to touch it. You're just kind of tapping the brush to let it sprinkle all down. And then I do, because there is still some wet base on my nail, I pour over just a little bit of that clear powder so that if there is still any kind of tacky spots or wet spots, it's going to get absorbed in with the clear, and then I still have a nice even layer because the left side of my nail was absorbed with the glitter. So I think it looks really pretty. I'm really in love with the fall colors and everything. So now we're going to go ahead and finish up, and I'm just going to cap these last two nails with the clear, activate them. I'm going to file and buff and shape and everything off camera, and then we'll finish up with the top coat. All right, so now they are all filed, shaped, buffed, and all of the good things. I'm going to remove all of that filing dust as well as any of that foil that stuck to my skin with a little bit of alcohol on this stiffer scrubby brush to really kind of clean up my skin and get rid of all of that filing dust. I did have some flakies that were kind of stuck to my ring finger to my skin, so I wanted to make sure that those were all removed and everything, so that worked really well. So I'm going to go ahead, before we go into the top coat, I do one final layer of the activator. This is what's going to make sure your top coat gets nice and shiny, so do not skip this step. It is important to how the dip powder process works. So I went ahead and did the activator, and then I just clean off my skin and everything with a little bit of alcohol to make sure I don't contaminate my top coat liquid. So with the top coat here, I am going to speed this up just a little bit, but not too much. And I'm going to go in with the top coat. I do 2 to 3, depending, or maybe 4 swipes, depending on how wide my nail is, all the way from the cuticle to the free edge for the very first layer. I don't continue to go over and over the nail, but I also make sure to wipe off my brush before I put it back in the bottle so I don't get any activator in the top coat liquid. And we're going to let that dry for just about 30 seconds. So usually by the time you get to your thumb, you can go right back to your pinky and do the second layer. So for the second layer, I can do more swipes. I can be a little bit more thorough, make sure I'm covering the whole entire nail. The free edge, since I use the peel base, I like to make sure that the nail is all nice and sealed so they won't pop off before I want them to. But you've seen me do this before in previous videos as well, so nothing out of the ordinary here. So after I do the 2 layers of the top coat, I do like to let these dry for a minimum of 5 minutes. So I literally will just sit somewhere, keep my hand like on my leg or somewhere, so I'm not using it, not doing anything, let it dry for a good 5 minutes before I go in and try to touch it. But these are now all dry. I've washed my hands and everything, cleaned up my table. I'm just going to go ahead and go in with my cuticle oil. This is Candy Skincare. This is a scent that I got over, I think, fall of last year or maybe the year before. It's called Sweet Tobacco. It's really nice. But I'm going to go ahead and rub that all in to make sure my skin's all nice and nourished again. And then we will be good to go. So let me know what you think of this mani. Please like and subscribe. And until next time, bye for now.